I'm Hemant Mehta.
And I'm Jessica Blimke.
And you're listening to the podcast for FriendlyAtheist.com. You can now listen to all of our episodes and see show notes at FriendlyAtheistPodcast.com.
By the way, we now have a merchandise shop on the website. So if you want your podcast swag, and you know you do, go to our website and click on the store tab.
Andrew Bradley is the creator and writer for BettyBowers.com. If you haven't seen the YouTube videos, Betty is America's best Christian, and she has a lot to say about traditional marriage, abortion, the upcoming elections, and so much more. She's a hilarious parody of right-wing extremists. Andrew was also one of the main writers for Landover Baptist Church, a parody of fundamentalist Christian churches, with articles that people still believe are real. He's also the author of Welcome to Jesus Land. Deven Green plays Mrs. Betty Bowers. She's a comedian, musician, and performer, and she was a comedy judge on RuPaul's Drag Race, which is an awesome line to have in your resume. So, Deven, let me start with you. How did you get on RuPaul's Drag Race?
That's where you're starting?
That's where I'm starting. That's what I got to know.
Really? Well, Ru has been a supporter and fan of my comedy. I did an online series of voiceover parodies from the 80s called Welcome to My Home, and she super loved them. We've known each other for quite a while, and we had a ball. We have a really great time, and it was through those being online that I actually got to meet Mr. Bradley, as we all should address him.
I think we should be clear, Deven, that you did not do those parodies in the 80s. They were originally from the 80s.
Correct.
So,
I was mocking the 80s.
You weren't even with us in the 80s.
Very true.
So for those listeners who haven't seen the videos yet, Deven, how would you describe Betty Bowers?
Excellent in all ways. Actually,
Deven would say very pretty.
actually, I believe that Betty Bowers just presents facts. Andrew, am I correct? Again?
Well, she presents facts the way that Americans present facts now. I mean, everybody boutiques their facts. So that nobody's inconvenienced by hearing anything they didn't already believe. It's like Americans no longer have differences of opinion. They have differences of reality because they get all their facts from different places now. We used to all draw from the same well and then interpret them differently. And now everybody just hears differently. And so Betty is the epitome of that because she doesn't rely on the boutique of information by Fox or MSNBC. She has a direct line to Jesus. So she speaks in superlatives and with quite a bit of confidence.
So how many people would you say, or do you get a lot of reactions regarding whether or not she's real, or people think she's real, or do you think you have a pretty, firm foot in the satire area?
You would think we would, because I think we're pretty clear about it, but no. I get mail every single day. Lady, who the hell do you think you are calling yourself the best Christian? God told us to love everyone, motherfucker, and we're not to put ourselves above other people, you stupid bitch.
Wait, so
to add to all of this, I get marriage proposals, death threats, and am I a biological female?
Oh, my God. All of which are in the exact same email, which makes it even tougher.
Yeah.
Wait, so are the people who are angry Christians or atheists?
Angry Christians.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because it's the fact that Betty has the hubris to call herself America's best Christian that really gets under their skin, because, of course, they think they are.
Sure. Because Jesus told them.
All we're doing is taking it one step above, because the right-wing people, it's not like they're all Christians together. They call themselves true Christians, which means that the others are false Christians. And Betty just goes one step further and calls her the best Christian.
So, Andrew, it sounds like people are upset with Betty, but not because of any of the horrible things she says. It's just the fact that she says she's better than all the other Christians who say pretty much the same thing.
Well, I mean, no. I mean, people do object to things that she says, like when Betty talks about how much God just thinks abortion and slavery is fabulous, then we get some blowback from things like that. I mean, the biggest blowback we get, oh, you think you're so clever, mocking Christianity. I'd like to see you do that to the Muslimic.
Ooh. Yikes.
How do you know when you're pulling at the right Christian strings here? Because you can kind of impersonate this modest look, and you can kind of impersonate the rhetoric, but how do you know which aspects of fundamentalist Christianity are worth satirizing?
Well, the bottom line is that Andrew and I, we've done hand drawings, we've done voiceovers, we try it on, and if it makes sense to us.
And the thing with Betty is we're not really trying to satirize what's already there. Mm-hmm. We're trying to create a new element. I mean, because Betty's not your stereotypic right-wing Christian. Otherwise, she'd be sort of cornpone and ignorant, and Betty's not ignorant. I think we're trying to create something that's not there, but also make a statement on what is there. Because Betty's a lot more polished and more intelligent than a lot of the people we're sort of sending up.
Have there been any moments where Christian Have there been any moments where a Christian website like posted one of your videos saying, "Yeah, this lady gets it"?
No.
Oh.
I don't believe so. But we do get a lot of emails saying that it was the catalyst for a lot of discussion within families.
Oh wow!
In a good way, or in a
especially like the traditional marriage video. I think a lot of people shared that with family members, and they said it got discussion going.
And this was a video that basically said traditional marriage isn't just one man and one woman. It's like one man and all the wives he wants, and one man and whatever else the Bible says about marriage.
Well, that's the inconvenient fact in the Bible. I mean, that's actually what the Bible says.
Right.
And it doesn't, and that's the problem. It doesn't say so many things that we hear it says.
Right. That's definitely a case that we've run into, that people say, well, Jesus said no to gay marriage. And it's like, I don't think that was in there. I don't remember that part, I guess. Maybe I don't have great reading comprehension.
The two obsessions of the Christian right are homosexuality and abortion. And Jesus never mentioned either of them. Mm-hmm. He didn't mention slavery.
How did you...
It's great. That's one of the few things that Jesus and God agree upon between Testament, is that slavery is absolutely fabulous.
Oh, sure.
For the people
God even provides tips on how to beat them and get away with it.
Oh, yeah, there's some crazy shit, depending how you read it. You know what's
interesting as well? There seems to be a lot of people reaching out saying that I used to be Catholic, I used to be... I've converted, I'm free now. A lot of people say they're free from their childhood upbringing. Mm-hmm. And the stories are horrific.
Did they change as a result of watching your videos?
Well, we hope that they start trying to take more care of their personal grooming.
At least.
For the people...
Betty would say... If you're a Catholic, you were never a Christian to start with.
Well, obviously, you're not the right type of Christian.
Right.
You're a Mary worshiper.
What is the actual process like? Because, Andrew, you write the scripts and Deven acts them out. But what is actually the collaboration here? How does that work from start to finish?
Well, Deven and I have a great collaboration, I think.
Yes.
We talk all the time. So I may run an idea by her, and if she says yes, then I run with it. I'll do a first draft. Before I met Deven, I would have thought the first draft was the final draft, but now I know it's just a draft of 126.
Yeah.
And then we just Skype and do a read-through, and we'll just, see what parts are working. And Deven is like a great collaborator because she never says to me, say this instead of that. She'll always say, is her more concise way of saying that? Are we repeating ourselves here? Or is this really the strongest line? Or should we end here? And so she's constantly questioning me, and it's a great process.
And then we record it in Los Angeles. Andrew edits it, and we don't release anything until we're both very happy with it. And if I could just highly encourage your listeners, Facebook is fantastic with Betty Bowers, but when there's breaking news, you need to check out Twitter at Betty Bowers. It's worth it.
I've seen that Twitter feed. We'll make sure we include a link for listeners. But yeah, you're on top of the Christian take on hot button issues, whatever's going on. I kind of want to watch you live tweet like a future debate with some of these politicians again.
I did live tweet the last GOP debate.
Whew, that was a situation, huh?
It was riveting. Well, it moved us to do, I guess, I don't know if it was our last video or second to last video, but Betty Skyping with Trump.
I think that was the last video we saw, yeah.
Yeah, we were moved to do a character assassination.
Yes.
And every word be truthful.
Yeah. And there's certainly more to come. Sometimes we do 8 or 9 minute videos and sometimes 30-second videos.
Absolutely.
And people complain that the 3 minutes are too long and the 30-second ones are too short. We can't win.
Well, it's YouTube. It's no one's going to be happy about anything.
It's the internet.
Everyone
the
has
internet.
an opinion.
Exactly. When did you guys know the character was actually striking a chord with viewers? Was it one particular video, or how did you know, like, oh, yeah, we've hit something big here?
Probably, Deven, would you agree with the marriage video?
Yes, traditional marriage. Mm-hmm. And then it seemed to develop something in both of us. The great thing is that the audience has grown with us as we've grown. And if you look at Andrew's memes, they're just bloody brilliant. You know, those memes are passed around, and some are just so devastating and awe-inspiring. It's very fascinating, though, to see traditional TV touching or visiting the areas that we had already sort of gone very in-depth on.
Mm-hmm. So where did the name...
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, you go ahead.
We've noticed a big uptick in the fans on Facebook. It seems like, it took us years to hit 100,000, and then in less than a year we hit 200,000, and then in a matter of months we're probably going to hit 300,000. So there seems to be some snowballing effect there.
That's awesome. So what's the origin of the Betty... Go ahead.
That's not a lewd reference to our gay listeners.
We just really put out.
Obviously. There we go.
So is the Betty Bowers name like a tip of the hat to something? Where did that come from?
Well, I'm sorry.
The Betty Bowers name?
Yeah, what's the origin of that?
Well, it's from the Supreme Court case, Bowers versus Hardwick. That's where the surname comes from. And that was a big case against gay rights. And then it's the alliteration, and I can't say more than that without risking a lawsuit.
But I will tell you this: if you have Betty Bowers on your Google alerts, it's an old-fashioned name, so there's an obituary every single day.
Oh no!
No.
Your character
Betty
dies
Bowers
1,000 deaths a year.
Like flies.
Oh man!
Oh, that's too bad.
A lot of them crochet and have craft shows.
Oh, bless their little hearts.
And there's your next video. Andrew, I have a question about Landover Baptist Church, because this used to be, they used to provide a lot of updates month after month, and then it just kind of stopped a couple of years ago. What happened to that website? Yeah. Because I still get emails to this day from people saying, I saw this, you should write something about this. And it's like, dude, this is Landover. This is a satire from years ago. How do you not know this yet? But what happened to that website?
The website was run by Chris Harper. He was the editor. I got involved in that just because he did this Christian testimony contest, and I sent in the testimony, and then he contacted me and asked me to start writing with him, which I did. It was such a fun collaboration. We had so much fun writing that website, but I think he just got a bit burned out. He had actually gone to Liberty University, Jerry Falwell's college, and got kicked out for being a little too open-minded. And so he knew what he was talking about. And he actually educated me about, some Baptist mindset, which was completely foreign to me.
Yeah.
Yeah, the weird thing about that website is they would post articles about how certain things are going to send you to hell for all of eternity. And I would imagine Chris, more than a lot of people, would know, like, this isn't really that far off the mark, and that's why it's so believable.
Be at all. It really wouldn't be. I mean, he would draw a lot from what he had heard in his family and at school. And one of the things we used to do at Landover is we would get so much hate mail, and we would publish the best of it every month. And it was a fan favorite.
Well, it sounds like such a good example of like a Poe, that something is so close to like it's just walking that line between satire and like, oh, this could be real completely.
Well, it was really well-informed satire because Chris went to Jerry's University, and one of the other writers, Eric Walker, he had gone to Baylor and had taught there, and he really knew his stuff. So they knew what they were talking about.
What was his goal? Was it just to kind of entertain people, or was he trying to work out some angst?
Well, I mean, with Betty and I think with Landover, we tried to make the main goal to entertain people. Because we felt like if that was a secondary goal, we would get a little shrill, and we didn't want to do that. But I think he probably did have an axe to grind, and rightly so.
Sure.
Yeah, and then there's a little departure recently when we covered Goodwill Industries. I don't know if you'd seen that video.
I don't know if I've seen that particular video.
That would be shocking that you would do an interview and not have seen that video.
I've been doing weeks of research.
Don't worry, we'll post a link to
You're
it.
even looking at notes to quote from already.
I have every transcript of every video you've ever created right in front of me.
Yeah, it's been a lot of sleepless
we did a
nights.
takedown of Goodwill. Betty took umbrage with them pretending to be a religion, because it's religion's job to trick people into giving donations for nothing so that they can make money off.
Yikes.
Have you seen anyone try to imitate what you guys are doing? Because that particular way of satirizing fundamentalist Christianity.
Stephen Colbert.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He totally took it from you guys, right?
And Andrew, I think Andrew and I agree. There's just simply no competition.
Obviously. Well, you're the best for a reason. So where do you...
Jesus thinks he's a competition to Betty, but Betty, of course, knows otherwise.
I've seen these billboards. I know a lot of college Christian groups do this thing where they have these slogans that say, "We are number 2." And the whole goal is anyone who reads it is like, well, who is number 1? And the answer is Jesus. I would love to just see the part where Betty Bauer steps in and says, "It's me."
I hate that so
somehow.
much. I've never heard of that.
Betty said, Jesus said, "He who is without sin cast the first stone." And Betty always says, "That will be me."
Where do you guys take the character from here? Is there any way to stretch this out? Or, I mean, you can continue doing the fundamentalist satire, but is there any other type of collaboration you guys would like to do? Try a different character or a different type of project? To all of the above. I think there's definitely a lot more life than Betty. We've got a lot of ideas for new types of videos that different from what we've done in the past.
And there's an election coming up.
There's an election coming up. So Betty is always busy in elections. And there'll probably be a new Betty book coming out probably next year.
Oh, awesome.
And what's the collaboration for that like when you guys are working on a book? What's the collaboration like when you're writing one of those?
I'm going to choose to publish that.
Hold on 1 second, Andrew. Andrew, can you say that again? No, because you cut out, and I want to make sure people hear.
Oh, I don't know if you hadn't heard me or you just wanted me to repeat it for publicity sake.
It was just so well stated.
It's not beyond me.
What I said, Deven, was that I have a book for sale.
Oh.
And it's called What Would Betty Do? That was published by Simon & Schuster. And this was actually before I met Deven, although it's difficult to imagine the time before Deven. Must have been a very sad time. So there'll probably be another book, but it won't be similar to that book that was done.
So wait, you wrote What Would Betty Do before you met Deven and actually had that character going?
Oh, yeah. I had
Oh, did we lose him?
Come back, Andrew.
Andrew. Deven, can you still hear
well.
us? Okay. We're better off without him.
It's going to be a threesome.
Oh, there he goes.
We'll try to get in touch with Andrew again, but Deven, when did you step into that character then?
Well, no one had done a video. And so I think with the upcoming book, so we just started creating the videos together. And, we don't live in the same city.
To all of our listeners, Andrew's phone disconnected and we were unable to get him back on the line, but we will continue this conversation right now with just Deven Green. What projects are you working on coming up soon, whether it's Betty-related or not Betty-related?
Well, I do an awful lot of live music shows. I'm actually headed out east, and I'm the spokesmodel for OCC Makeup. So I have an absolute ball doing that. It's been, look, I lead a pretty great life because I wake up every day and I do what I wish to do. I say no to stuff I don't want to do. I'm comedy-based, so I would never say, I would never take any role saying, not without my child.
Have you ever been nervous of any blowback about the Betty character in terms of your career?
That's a great question, Jessica. I would say that it's always against the character and not me, but I am very mindful. Some weeks we get 9 to 12 million views, so 99% of the people who follow and this material resonates with are great, and then there's 1% that scares the shit out of me. So sure. I stand, Andrew and I stand behind what we put out there, but we can't expect our families to be involved in these shenanigans, so we're very protective of things like that.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
Well, thank you so much for joining us. And when you talk to Andrew, tell him we are sorry. His phone fell off the face of the earth.
It's driving through a tunnel.
Yes.
We truly appreciate it. We rarely do ever do any interviews, and we just felt like you had the right spirit, and we're really thankful that you extended yourself to both of us. So thank you very much for having us on.
That's very sweet.
See,
thank you
she
so
likes
much.
Her spirit.
I know, my spirit is awesome.
Thank you so much for joining us, Deven.
Alrighty, bye-bye.
Thanks for listening to the podcast for FriendlyAtheist.com. This episode was taped at Cinnamon Sound Studios in Aurora, Illinois, and the music was written and performed by Brad Chagdis. If you like what you're hearing, please consider making a contribution at patreon.com/Hemant, that's He-Man T. We appreciate your support. I'm Hemant Mehta.
And I'm Jessica Blumke. We hope you'll join us next time.